Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today we've got the pleasure of watching Chasika 915 of the European server playing in Heavy Tank number 6. This is a tier 6 Japanese heavy tank, but really the vehicle isn't what's special about today's gameplay. Today's gameplay is going to be a 1 in a billion kind of game of World of Tanks. You're just going to have to wait to see all the way through to the ending to see exactly why this game was just so absolutely bonkers. So firstly, let's talk about Heavy Tank number 6, aka the Japanese Tiger. This vehicle is statistically identical to Heavy Tank 131, or should I say Tiger 131, not Heavy Tank 131, which was the vehicle which really spawned my interest in kind of creating content in World of Tanks in a weird way. In 2012, I went to Tank Fest for the very first time to see Tiger 131, and I went along with my good buddy Ike, as many of you will know. Back then, the Tiger 131 actually was running at Tank Fest, and so you didn't have to go to Tiger Day and Tank Fest, and the whole event just wasn't sold out. It wasn't as popular as it is now. Crazy to think that Tank Fest sells out on not just one day, not 2 days, but I think 3 days, as well as also not even having the star of what used to be the show, the Tiger, which now has its own set of days for Tiger Days, which I believe is running a couple of days a year. Really shows you what kind of a draw that Tiger 131 really brings towards the museum. That they can not even run it at their main event, so to say, but spawned multiple other events throughout the year. And so me and Ike got close, have dodgy camera work, got close to the Tiger 131 while it was running. It's crazy how close you could be able to get to it back then in 2012 to feel that kind of pounding in your chest of that engine. And I got my first viral video for YouTube from that event, from Tankfest 2012. But funnily enough, it wasn't actually about the tanks at the event. It was about the fact that I got to see a Superfoot Pershing at the event on Wargaming's tiny little stand. This little known game, World of Tanks, that not all that many people were even playing back in 2012 before it started to propel itself upwards to becoming one of the most popular free-to-play games of all time. So the Super Pershing was on the computers there, and Ike's taking this kind of shaky, awful camera that I had, and I'm there playing, and the audio was so awful that I just had to cut out all the audio and do a post-game commentary. Anyway, that was my first video that actually got loads of views within the community, I guess because effectively I was leaking. Anyway, Wargaming's whole publishing department wasn't so professional back then, right? Well, it definitely benefited me. Anyway, long story short, that was how Tiger 131, going to go and see it, ended up getting me my first viral video, so to say, on YouTube. And yeah, the history is there. So now let's focus back on Chasika playing in Heavy Tank number 6. This vehicle has lots of HP, this vehicle has lots of damage per minute, 1,885, and that's really what the strengths are of the vehicle. Now unfortunately, Chasika, while I've been talking about my Tiger story, has actually spammed all of their gold rounds right at the start of this battle. I hope that's not going to come back to haunt you, Chasika, as you no longer have the higher penetration, as the penetration goes up from 145 all the way up to 194 on this vehicle. So now that Chasika has literally spent all of the gold that they have inside their vehicle, they're going to have to deal with armor-piercing rounds now. I think they could have probably been a little bit more sensible with choosing the rounds, especially as it's quite easy to have intuition on this vehicle as well as a loader skill. But unfortunately, having not made use of intuition, now Chasika doesn't have the gold rounds against the most dangerous tier 6 heavy. It is the M6. Who would have thought Wargaming overbuffing that vehicle has now turned it into an absolute monster of World of Tanks. Now, Chasika got to have the mother of all farms, literally in a perfect spot there. Hull down earlier, just farming and farming and farming and farming. This is a crazy game already for any tier 6 tank. 3,700 damage. This would be great for a tier 9, let alone a tier 6 vehicle in this scenario. So Chasika has already, if they can manage to get through this game with a win, has probably got one of the highest experience games that they're probably going to ever have in a vehicle like this. As while this vehicle has good damage per minute and it has a reasonable amount of hit points, it just doesn't really have that much armor. Now, while the armor on the Japanese Tiger, or Tiger 131, is better at tier 6 than it is at tier 7 when you're playing the German heavy tank, it's still not great. And so this vehicle doesn't ricochet a lot of shells, and it's just about staying in the game for long enough to actually make the vehicle's great firepower do the work for you. Okay, Chassis Car, beautiful shot there into the side of the M6's. Well, the side of the front of the M6's hull. Now up to nearly 4,000 damage dealt. Can you believe that even though Chassis Car has literally done this much, if you look at the health bar at the top, this much almost exactly of the enemy's hit points, but that is still not enough to win this game. I'd say Chassis Car has actually done probably 25% of the entire team's health bar already in this battle, but they've still got a long way to go. Okay, so heavy tank number 6 versus heavy tank number 6. It looks like it is who fires first that wins, but unfortunately the SU-100 is coming around the corner, and that looks like a very big gun on the SU-100. But fortunately for Chassis Car, their platoon mate in the KV-2, Captain M01, shuts down that SU-100 with a single penetrating shot to the side. And that's where it's all about alpha damage. You can have all the hit points, you can have all of the damage per minute, but it's far better to invest into one shot if you can be able to finish them off. Wow, clutch shot there with a regular round going through the front of the M6's turret. That turret has been buffed so much that I did not think that shell had many chances. But now that the M6 is reduced to 61 hit points, that should allow Chassis Car to be able to finish them off with a single hit. So they're going to tank one from the M6, got to get a shot into the hull here, don't want to get hit twice by the M6, and good reactions there to be able to finish off the new best-in-class tier 6 heavy tank. Unfortunately, Chassis Car took a shell from the artillery, but luckily it only did 8 damage. But the loss of the medkit, if they get hit again, is going to be a pretty bad news. So Chassis Car, interestingly enough, is using a vent purge directive on this vehicle. That's like one of the best ways in the game to be able to take your tank to the next level. But interestingly enough, Chassis Car doesn't have anything but standard equipment on this vehicle. If they were using bounty vents, that vent purge would not just give 2.5% crew skill, because it would push the commander over to actually giving 13% crew skill to all of the other crew members, not just giving 12%, which is one of the reasons why vents with a vent purge just takes your tank to the next level. And I would thoroughly recommend it for anyone out there who's maybe trying to do things like complete tricky missions. Maybe that's what Chassis Car's doing, trying to get the Excalibur, has to be the top player on damage core as well, min-max that Tiger, because Chassis Car only has 1 mark of excellence on this vehicle. Not that there's anything wrong with having 1 mark of excellence, but I personally would think that somebody will only start using vent purges when they've got at least their 2nd mark and they're trying to push for their 3rd. Or at least that's how I do it. But, you know, I do water tanks a little bit weird, and who am I to judge how people decide to use their directives? Although those vents, I wouldn't really recommend resupplying them for bonds, because bonds is your most important currency, right? Okay, so Chassis Car, 3 kills, 4,400 damage. I'd say pretty much more damage, well, kind of like a similar amount of damage the rest of their team has managed to do inside this game. And Chassis Car's trying to support the Porlak tank in trying to hold back the enemy advance. One thing that's really exciting about this game is that not only is Tiger 131 and the Dicamax at full health, there's also 2 artillery that Chassis Car's probably going to have to deal with, and also the long and strong TOG. And what I love to see with Wargaming's new experience indicator system is that TOG is level 350. That has been a long and strong journey in an equally long and strong tank. What is that artillery doing? They come up, and Captain M01 finishes off the tier 6 self-propelled gun that was definitely in the wrong neck of the woods. Although maybe you could argue that they're in a platoon with Shredder playing their Cromwell Berlin on the enemy team, and maybe they just didn't want to waste their time. Although I still think that you should play the game properly, especially when there are such a monstrous force on the enemy team as Chassis Car and Captain M01 in their tier 6 heavy tanks. Alright, so Chassis Car now trying to get some blind fires off into the bush, saying thank you to the artillery, hoping that they're going to be able to scout. And there you go, Tiger 131 lurches forwards, looks like with a durability device, or maybe they're just using the field mods on this tank to be able to increase their hit points. Chassis Car is going to hopefully help out this Porlak before they get finished off, and they realize they have to get damage in while their allies are still alive. And now that the enemies are mounting their offense, and unfortunately the Porlak does get shut down, this is going to be tough stuff Fortunately, Chasica has the side of the Tiger 131. Aims for the weak point, but I think the side of the turret would have been absolutely fine there. And they're too far behind the bush to be able to get spotted. We can see the shell doesn't manage to hit the target as it doesn't disappear, and Chasica makes a slight misplay there. They should have immediately gone forwards into the bush as soon as they fired at the Tiger there to be able to catch the vision, and maybe they would have had a cleaner chance to be able to hit the second shell. And when you've only got 600 hit points against 2,100 on the enemy team, and you've got a 2 versus 4 scenario, you've got to try and get every shot that you possibly can. So Chasica carries the wreck of the M44 forwards, but doesn't actually want to go hold down on them. Now they're going to come around the corner, and hopefully they're going to find Tiger 131, who is expecting Chasica to attack from the other avenue. Oh my word, it looks like the artillery is on the left with the Hummel, narrowly missing. Chasica sets Tiger 131 on fire. Now they're roasting away. They don't put the fire out. Doesn't look like they have an extinguisher, and Chasica gets another excellent shot. Now up to 5,600 damage in a blooming tier 6 heavy. What is this? This is just insane levels of damage for a tier 6 vehicle. We're talking about them destroying over the full health of 5 heavy tanks on the enemy team. So Chasica finally uses intuition, something that they could have used earlier, but interestingly enough, they don't have intuition fully trained, so maybe they're just trying to get it up on their crew, or they've only got 1 out of the 2 crew members. Chasica finishes off the Hummel, narrowly avoiding death. Their platoon mate there, Captain MO1. And now they're communicating that there must be a TOG. I think that was the amount of damage that the KV-2 took, about TOG-like damage, or was it a Dicamax? I didn't quite see for sure. It's definitely something you should be trying to communicate with your allies as to what tank exactly shot you in what scenario, in case they missed the amount of alpha damage they got hit for. So with that frag on the Hummel, with 2 penetrating HE shells, now Chasica is up to 6,000 damage. But there's only 2 minutes and 40 seconds left on this game, and there's a full health, well, practically a full health Dicamax to be able to deal with, to all intents and purposes, and a TOG that's on a quarter hit points. And when a TOG's on quarter hit points, that still means that you usually have to shoot them at least a couple of times. Alright, the TOG has appeared. Looks like they went on an epic journey to flank, and the TOG is now firing HE at Chasica to try and finish them off. Big misplay there, although the TOG fires the HE shell at the KV-2 to finish them off, so maybe it wasn't that bad of a play. But Chasica shuts down the TOG, and ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that is the Top Gun for Chasica. But I don't think they just want the Top Gun. I think they want to take down this game. Although it looks like there's a formidable Dicamax on the enemy team who's called General. Although I'm not sure if that is an anonymized name, because that would be a pretty epic gamer tag to have. Okay, Chasica, 6 kills. You've got 293 hit points. That means that you're a 50-50 to die to a single shot from the Dicamax. Are you going to risk it? And what I love to see in this game is that Chasica is actually going to just go for it. They realize a draw is a loss for both teams. Got to find that Dicamax and maybe turn an epic game into one for the ages. This is 6,400 damage. This would be an incredible game for any tier 10 tank, let alone a tier 6 vehicle. But with still 620 hit points to get through on the Dicamax on the enemy team, Chasica has the opportunity to turn that into 7,000 damage. That's if they can find it, because this sneaky Dicamax could be hiding anywhere. And trust me, the Dicamax is one of the last vehicles that you want to have in a hidden position, especially when you're on low hit points. All right, the sirens go off, the countdown intensifies. 1 minute left on this game, and still with, to all intents and purposes, a full health Dicamax on the enemy team, Chasica is going to have to play even more aggressively to be able to find the tier 6 German premium tank destroyer. Okay, take a deep breath. That was the TOG we dealt with. Where could the Dicamax possibly be? Are they going to go for the cap circle? Are they trying to flank around the corner? Are they trying to make the same kind of positional play that the TOG made? Have a little look down the alleyway. 26 seconds left, and oh my word, the Dicamax gets spotted. Chasica fires an HE shell that doesn't manage to penetrate, and I'm going to put a clock on the screen now. 20 seconds left on this game. This is a duel for the ages as Chasica manages to bounce the Dicamax. However, Chasica uses intuition to switch. The Dicamax low rolls. Now with 7 seconds left, Chasica puts 1 shot in. Are they going to be able to get to time with 2 seconds left to be able to get the extra shot in against the Dicamax? They fire, and what even happened? They both killed each other at the same time while the game was completely run out of time. I have never seen that in the hundreds, if not thousands, of games of World of Tanks that I have watched, let alone the 100,000 games of World of Tanks that I have been a part of. But the computer says it was a draw, with both vehicles seemingly finished off just 1 second before time ran out. And you really just couldn't script this. As you can see, each tank shells pass between each other, with the Dicamax managing to kill Chasika just literally a millisecond before Chasika's shell finishes him off as well. What a crazy moment of World of Tanks. This truly was, at least for me, 1 in a billion opportunity. So if that is not the mother of all heartbreaks in World of Tanks, I don't know what is. But even with this heartbreak, Chasika got 1,757 base experience. However, let me clarify, that is without Courageous Resistance. And with Courageous Resistance, this would have been 2,681 base experience for just getting the most insane high caliber I've ever seen in a tier 6 tank, with 7,000 damage dealt, and also destroying just under half of the enemy team to get a top gun for the 7 kills. Chasika, my condolences. This is possibly one of the biggest heartbreaks I have ever seen, but thank you so much for uploading it onto the What Replays website for us to experience one of the most bizarre 1 in a billion events that I've ever seen in World of Tanks. Anyway, ladies and gents, boys and girls, I really hope you enjoyed this video today as much as I did. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And if you're watching this video as it goes live on Monday, I'm going to be going live all day on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby, giving you new token drops so you can get some fat loot to spend in game. Well, hopefully seeing at least 1 or 2 games. I'm not sure they're going to be anywhere near as good as this one, though. Anyway, really looking forward to seeing you all live. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.